Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over some self-loop teams. Self-loop teams would be anything that has troops that are able to cast a spell and then create mana for the own mana that they use. There are currently 4 troops that do this and 1 weapon. That is the Rockworm, the Fire Lizard, which was just recently added to PC and mobile, the Devoted, which is also pretty recent, and the Webspinner. There's also 1 weapon that does it as well, and that is Prismatic Orb. You get this weapon on on any version of the game. You get it at 25 all hero masteries. So the earliest you can possibly get it is around level 150. Realistically, you get it around anywhere from about level 160 to 200. I believe there's also a pack that you can buy, which you can get this early, much earlier on in the game if you wish to put out the money for it. But it just creates its own color and of course does an armor boost. But what we're going to be doing here is going over all 4 of the main troops here: Rockworm, Fire Lizard, the Devoted, and Webspinner, with teams that you can use to essentially just keep looping them over and over and over again. One thing to note about these teams is you should never, ever, ever use them against a team that has freeze on it. You will very likely lose because most loop teams don't account for cleanse, and even if they do, just missing 1 extra turn and that freeze is going to give your opponent a lot of mana, since you won't be able to take anything from your mana generation. So first off, we have Rockworm team. This is probably one of the most decks I've ever shown on this channel. It is really good early on. What makes it really good is, of course, commons. Very cheap. Rockworms are commons. It deals damage to the last enemy, which early on in the game, troops early on don't tend to have good, or team compositions don't tend to have good back tanks. And it creates 7 brown of its own color, so you'll just be able to keep looping it. And if you get it traded, it even gains extra stats based on how many brown you have. And since you're using all Rockworms pretty much, you'll be getting a lot of it. I do have the banner on pure blue. The reason for this is you normally with loop teams, you do not want to set your banner color at all to the color that you're looping with. Like you can see here, with this team, we're looping with just brown. So we want to make sure our banner doesn't have any brown in it at all. With our double blue banner, if we have Water Link on our Deep Borer, 1 mana surge, and we'll get Deep Borer up in 1 single surge from no mana to full, because that'll be 9. 3 for the single match, extra 3 for the mana surge up to 6, plus 1 for the 7 on the trait, and then an additional 2 for the total of 9 if we get a blue mana surge. This also makes sure the AI will focus down our blues instead of our browns, which will make sure our Rockworms can loop a little bit better. And as far as the next 3, we have more towards early game, another one, a mid game, and a late game build they can do. So Fire Lizard, I showed this yesterday, so I won't actually be doing a battle for it as well. You can just see the video from yesterday. We ended up doing it with Gerald Fire Mantle yesterday, but if you don't have him, since most of you probably don't have a legend who this team would be viable for, you can just place another Fire Lizard there, and it'll still go just as well. These are all beasts as well, so your Fire Lizard's beast bond will be able to go onto all of them. And if you get the traits, you can get up to Pyromania, and since it burns a random enemy, it'll eventually burn the first enemy, and then you'll be getting 2 times skull damage against it. It also has a very cheap burn. For only 11 mana, it can place a burn, plus it does all the damage, and on top of all that, it even creates 7 red gems, so exact same amount as a Rockworm in its looping capabilities. The only difference is it does cost 3 more mana, but it does use 2 different colors instead of just 1, which kind of offsets it and makes it essentially the same as Rockworm for the most part. The other thing that we put in here is Serpent. The main reason is it has poison. This goes really good with burn early on, since both poison and burn are very effective. Burn is 3 damage per turn, and it has a 10% cumulative chance to cleanse per turn, as in 10% the first turn, then 20% to cleanse, then 30%. It just keeps going up. Interesting thing about poison, though, is it cannot be cleansed over time. It has to be manually cleansed with an actual cleansing ability, and it has a 50% chance every turn to reduce the poison troops' life by 1, which will be very effective early on, since most troops early on are more towards the 10 to 30 HP area. And of course, it also creates 9 red gems. If it doesn't look like the board is going to be giving you an extra turn off the reds, you can use the serpent instead, and you'll have 2 more reds on the board, which will just increase your chance of getting an extra turn. In case you can't get it with the fire lizard, you can just use the serpent. Plus, it gains a bunch of life for its cast, and if the first fire lizard ever dies, it has both agile to help dodge skulls and venomous, which if you haven't poisoned them already, they definitely will be by then. Next up, this team we're actually going to be using, the final 2. This first one is more towards the mid game. You'd even get this weapon around level, as I mentioned, somewhere around level 150 to 1, or somewhere around level 1, hero level 150 to 200. You will get this weapon as long as you distribute evenly among your colors, pretty much. And this is actually probably when this deck would work best as well. So a really good combination there. What we're essentially doing is having the devoted loop between each other. It creates 7 gems, just like what the fire lizard and the rockworm does, but it gets to choose the color, so it can do it on either its yellow, its blue, or really on anything. You can even do it on skulls, which is the only troop in the game that can spawn both gems and skulls if it so chooses. And actually has the choice of it, unlike quite a few other troops that can only do gem spawn. And it cleanses all, so when you cast this, you actually won't need to worry about freeze, since she cleanses it right off before the gems are spawned on the board. So even if she is frozen, you don't have to worry about it, because she'll just take it right off before the gems spawn. It goes in cleanse, and then she spawns. So she'll never actually lose her turn to a freeze. And then she gives armor to everyone on the team, which of course with something like Roini will be very, very, very powerful. We also have 4 blues on this team, so if we have Water Spirit, you'll be getting an additional 4 damage on your Rawani. More damage on her isn't excessively good, but of course it helps. Extra 4 doesn't hurt. And Prismatic Orb I showed a little bit earlier, but it creates 8 gems of a chosen ally's mana color. You actually don't get to choose. It's a random one of their color. And so if we use it on Devoted, it'll either do yellow or blue, but we have no choice on that. Of course, for the most part, we would want to use on Rawani because of the extra amount of armor that it would be giving. Also, with something like this, you'd probably want to change your class. There's a couple you could do. I'm going to be going with Sorcerer for this. You could also go with something like the Priest class would work, or pretty much any class since it is all colors. You just go over to Hero. Should be able to change for free right now. I still have Warlord from when we did the video yesterday. But we can just go to something like Sorcerer. Sorcerer, for the most part, if you're going to be using a weapon, if your hero is weapon dependent, you'll pretty much always want to go Sorcerer in the current state of the game, because it gains a 50% chance to gain 1 magic every turn, which is extremely powerful. So let's go into PvP and actually battle this. I have the banner set to +2 green. I'm actually going to be switching this. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't really want to use your looping color on your troop, but there's 2 reasons why you might want to do it with a Devoted. The first, of course, is she uses 2 different colors, so it doesn't really matter if they block one of them, because you'll still have a color that you can loop on her, since she's actually the only troop in the game that loops off of 2 different colors. I guess you can kind of say Prismatic Orb too, but it isn't really consistent. At least the Devoted is fairly consistent in what it can choose. And the other reason is because of this Mercy. If you were using a Mercy, or the opponent has a Mercy, we'll probably want to set our banner to +2 yellow. This will just make sure if we had a Mercy, so we could get a good cast, or if they have a Mercy, we'll be able to set up the board so they get a bad cast, and then we'll be able to fill up pretty much everything on our side. So let's see how this goes. Rawani, I was trying this out earlier. Rawani actually, when I was trying to double casted the team and just completely team wiped them in 2 casts. Oh, maybe it would have been good to keep the greens. If we still had the greens, we would have gotten Rawani up on the very first turn right here. It will be 2 mana short since we have no bonus for our greens. Be able to take skulls, take yellow. Luckily, we get all the way up there because we do have the +2 on it. There isn't a follow-up we can do. There's no blues we can take, no yellow. So we'll just have to top that off. I wasn't even paying attention to the Mercy. Luckily, whatever it does will be missing whenever it decides to do something. I'm just going to waste my turn here. We could take literally any mana and fill up our hero, but I want to keep the board somewhat stable so we can get that really nice extra turn there. He will end up getting that quick match, but that won't really do anything. Or not that much anyways. So right here, it should use Mercy, yep. And we'll get that really nice take right there.
Mana surge.
Oh, I didn't see that other one over there. I probably actually should have moved that. So we do get slightly less mana, but it is enough to fill because we did have the +2 yellow, which is one of the reasons I said it there. We only would have gotten 4 mana, making her too short, but now we got her completely filled because of the +2 we set on our banner. And let's see, quite a few options here. I'm going to take these skulls and hope for a surge. It'll also be on the blues that will drop. It'll also make sure we deny the Valkyrie some. And as soon as it casts that Valkyrie, oh, never mind. That works too. I was going to say, as soon as it casts that Valkyrie, we'll be able to use our the Devoted on blue. But for right now, I'm going to use this on Rwani. We'll be getting a buff. Hopefully it hits on green. If it hits on blue, we're going to be filling his entire team. But if we hit green, we'll hit an extra turn. Oh, wow. We actually missed with green. That's still better than blue, but if he converts out our green, we're in a little bit of trouble here. Yep. There goes literally his entire team with mana. And that's going to be taken away from us, too. A good deal from our Rwani potential damage. And even skulls on top of that. Amazing. Hopefully he ends his turn soon. This better not hit Rwani. Oh, that is devastatingly hard. Okay, well, there goes basically all of our damage. Luckily, we can get it back. It devoted misses right there. Okay, there we go. And now we can somewhat start the devoted loop. Unfortunately, the board isn't set up that well to keep looping. Our next cast will likely miss. I'm not going to use it on yellow because it's going to probably Mercy next turn. And if we use it on yellow, we're just going to be setting up Valkyrie mana. So we're just going to use it on blue again. Hopefully it'll hit. And it does completely miss, but we are getting our Rwani's armor back up, which is very needed right here after all the damage that it is doing to us. Luckily, it did survive with 3 HP, so we should still be able to do decent here. Take these browns out of the way. I am just going to take these skulls. He'll probably use Mercy, which will be beneficial to us if he does.
Mana surge.
Yep, there we go. We'll be able to get a nice amount of mana right here.
Mana surge.
And we have literally everything up. Okay, so now we can start buffing again. Let's use this on yellow. Hopefully it doesn't miss. And it hits. Let's see. We have reds right here. Might as well move them out of the way.
Surge.
And let's see. We can do blue or yellow. I'm going to go for blue here. And we do miss the extra turn, but we don't give him anything too important. So, not too big a deal. Oh, he did get an extra turn off of that, though. So, he will get some more damage on us. Somewhat unfortunate. And he will probably take those skulls. I'll leave it for him. Gonna buff up Rwani. Hopefully get its mana as well. Yep, a lot of mana right there.
Mana surge.
And since it'll just take the skulls next turn, let's use this. And there we go. Very huge damage. Like, it gets really high. If this team didn't have full AoE and that extremely nice Shadow Hunter cast, this team would have been dead ages ago. But all you do is just keep looping with these, the Devoted. It has full cleanse too, so you don't need to worry about freeze, death mark, and quite a few other status effects. Let's use this on yellow because it's going to be creating a bunch of blue next turn.
Mana surge.
And there we go, just a free extra turn. Let's use it on yellow again. Let's keep using it on yellow until it misses. And it misses. Of course, as soon as I say that, it misses. And Rwani has so much armor right now that she would almost have one-shot them right now if this was the beginning of the game. So let's use this on yellow again. And we get a really good cast. We do want to try using it more towards blue now because we do need to get our Rwani up. We could just use Prismatic Orb on it, and it has to be one of its 2 colors. And we got a nice extra turn for it. And right here, I'm just going to directly aim for the... Actually, I'm not even going to aim for the greens. There's skulls right there, so I'm not going to spawn anything. This will make sure he takes those skulls next turn. We'll just take these greens, and that'll be the match. As soon as it decides to end it. Just take those skulls, and it's over. And if he had more stats right now, we would have done with this cast, or what we're doing with this cast, even though he doesn't have that much HP. We are doing 281 damage for this cast because we do 130 times 2, that's 260. Then we add the 21, that's 281. That is a ridiculous amount of damage. This probably would have been a team wipe if we had this kind of stats from the very first turn. If you can really get your devoted ones looping well, you can just completely annihilate the other team with this. And of course, Prismatic Orb, you get it around level 150 to 200 if you level all of your stats evenly. So you'll get that. Rwani you can just get from Forest of Thorns. And these are ultra rares, so by level probably about 50, you could even get 2 of these if you wanted. Probably even earlier, depending on how many you're getting. But yeah, this team is definitely interesting and strong. And you use either Sorcerer or probably Priest class with it, because if you did Priest and went Divine, you could get the extra HP, or you could just do it for the heal or whatever. Pretty much any class. Sorcerer would be ideal, though, if you had it traded. But it does take a lot of traits to get it up. And now for our last team with the Webspinner, and it definitely would be more towards a late game build. It does have a Queen Mab, so I am going to be skipping this one, even though it's both a revenge and a rival. Absolutely perfect, but this one's also a revenge and rival. Actually, I do want to skip this one too. The main reason is we are going to be using a Webspinner, and Webspinner is extremely magic dependent. It deals 11 damage to all enemies, poisons them all, and then creates 9 green gems. But the problem is, if it gets reduced all the way down to 0 magic, all it's doing is poisoning them all, which is going to be nothing if they're already poisoned. And then create 9 greens, which is also pretty much nothing. So she is extremely magic dependent. If you can get a magic buff on her, she just completely annihilates the enemy team. But if you have magic debuffs like Famine and the such, she'll be completely useless. So we do want to actually skip this team, even though it's another revenge rival. Why can't I get these when I'm normally battling? Like, seriously. Come on, how many Famines are there in this game? In the late game right now. Okay, can we get something that's not a revenge rival Famine? Thank you. No, it's Queen Mab! What even? Okay. Obviously, this is exactly why you kind of don't use loop teams. And we just got this guy, like three repicks ago. This is why loop games or loop teams aren't really used in late game that much, because there's a lot of counters out for it. Specifically Queen Mab. Okay, come on. What even are these repicks? Finally! Thank you. Okay, we can do this now. With Webspinner, Green Seer, Spring Imp, and Shegra. Really good against Skull Spawner teams. This isn't a Skull Spawner team, but I'm not going to start repicking again after those kind of picks. It took us like, what, 6, 7 repicks? But this team is built more around taking out Skull Spawners because it does have Spring Imp. Spring Imp has the Entangle to all enemies, which is really, really powerful against anything that uses skulls, because they won't be able to do anything with those skulls for the most part, unless they get criticals, but that'll only be a few damage each. If you do not have Spring Imp, I don't even think the consoles have Spring Imp. You can just replace it with another Webspinner if you have. So let's get into this. And we do have Snare on our Webspinner. Snare places web on the enemy. If you're on PC and mobile, that was one of the things that changed in 2.01. And when an enemy is webbed, it reduces all their magic to 0 for the duration of the web. And for something like a Gorgotha, that will reduce his magic down to only 3, since it will take away that 13, which is only going to be 3 gem explosions. So that would be an extremely hard counter to him if we can start getting our mana. Unfortunately, there's not much we can really take.
Mana Surge.
Ideally, we did just get the skulls down, so he's not going to be any of a threat now.
Mana Surge.
The banner I had set previously is a little bad against his team. I believe we're on yellow and brown. Unfortunately, we haven't really had the opportunity to fully utilize that, because I don't want to use it on green, because we're already getting +1 green from our Spring Imp, and if I did it too much higher, we wouldn't have any green on the board, and we want to minimize how much green we take away from it. So right here, it's just going to chop up the board. Our Shegro might actually end up dying during this battle. That would be so disappointing. Let's see. We can take these reds, doing it mostly for the blue. We didn't get a surge on the blue though, which is what I needed it on. I'm gonna ignore those skulls. It's not gonna be that big of a threat. I'm almost thinking about purple, but since we didn't set our banner to it, we're gonna be 1 mana short even if it does surge. So there isn't much point in doing that. I'll just go for the blues here, try minimizing how many greens we take. And if we can get a green surge next turn, that will be full mana for the Webspinner. And I will take it here. He is starting to get a little bit too many skulls. He does have the drain though. So I'm actually not going to take mana. This will make sure it hits the higher mana, which is their Shegra. So I don't mind it hitting Shegra since it has Gorgotha anyways. We're not going to be able to do much to it. Oh, it ended up casting Merilith first. So that's actually going to waste a turn for us. Or never mind, they end up getting extra turn. But it's still not casting the Spirit Foxes. Wow. We could actually lose this. That would be so disappointing with this team. Like, once it gets going, it is, like, absolutely ridiculous. I was using it quite a bit. The main reason I stopped was it's so inconsistent, especially if you get up against something that can drain, or not drain it, but, well, there goes our Shegra. Something that has freeze. And we are just getting absolutely annihilated here. Gosh. Absolutely annihilated. And it doesn't even matter. Oh, wait, yeah. We can still get a green surge. But it's going to die next turn. And let's see. If it dies now, it's pretty much just forfeit. Oh, we got this. Oh, I forgot. It's still webbed. We have, like, the smallest chance in the world of winning this right now. This would have to loop like crazy, and it probably won't. Oh, 1 mana short. That is absolutely horrible. Maybe we should have set the mana banner. Gosh. The only hope we have is we take this, and there's a green gem that falls. If it's not, it's instantly over. Oh, that luck. That amount of luck that just took right there. Okay, well, it's not over yet, but it's pretty much over. We'll have to use this on red. We'll populate the board some. And we have to loop insanely well right here if we're going to pull back this comeback. And it like, oh, nope, we got it. We got it. You just got to keep looping. The second this misses, we lose. That's pretty much a miss. We did get an extra turn, but it's not going to be enough mana to do anything with. So, let's see. We will take these skulls. We do 3 times skull damage, but he is granite skin, so that's pretty much nothing. Oh, we got an extra turn from that too? Amazing. Look at this comeback. What is this comeback? Look at Webspinner just completely looping. This is why you don't need freeze, because if our green was freeze, we would have been stopped on the very first turn of this, but we just keep going, and look at this comeback. We're just completely destroying it with a single Webspinner loop. We went from just about losing with a 6 HP Webspinner to that 6 HP Webspinner just winning the game. Oh, I think we just missed. Did we miss? Nope, we still got it. We still got it, and we can actually just use the Spring Imp to kill them out. If you didn't have it, you could just use Webspinner 2 more times, and it'll probably kill. Let's just do it for fun. Let's see if we can go all the way. Can it actually go all the way? No, it did stop. it had to come to an end. That was amazing, though, and he's entangled, so we didn't even lose our Webspinner after all of this. If we wanted to, we could just convert out the browns, get our Webspinner back up, but let's just kill it with the Spring Imp. And yeah, that is all the loop teams. Of course, they are a little bit risky, as you can see, but once they start operating well and get going, they are extremely strong. They're high risk, high reward teams. They're either going to be really good, or if you miss, they're going to really backfire. But when they're really good, as you can see, they are excessively good. We just essentially defeated the entire team just with a Webspinner looping over and over and over again. So they definitely have their own potential. So that'll wrap it up for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Feel free to comment any other suggestions that you might have for videos, and maybe other loop teams that you found as well. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.